Check. Ooh, sorry about that. You're live. All right. Let's do it.
Okay. All right, so let's get started here. The developer cheat sheets talk. First up will be Sharif Kusa. He's the founder and leader of Wasp Ottawa chapter. He's also the co-leader of Wasp cheat sheets, the project. He's got over 12 years experience in application security, software development, customer service, and project management. He founded Software Secured in 2007. It's an application security boutique shop specializing in security code review, web app penetration testing, and software security assurance program implementations. He's also a SANS committee member for GSSP-Java and GSSP-Net exams, and he's a GAC exam development consultant. With him is Jim Manico. He is a OWASP volunteer, and he's also the Vice President of Security Architecture for White Hat Security. So are you going to start off, or who wants to go first?
Hello, everyone. Let me clip in here. Just going to talk for a few minutes before I pass the ball to Sharif. So, what's the goal here? What are we about to talk about? We're about to talk about the OWASP cheat sheet series. It's more than just that. The question is, how can we, in an efficient amount of time as possible, influence a developer to write more secure code? That's the mission here. In fact, I think that's the mission of all of InfoSec right now. All these devices that have vulnerabilities, I don't care if it's your router, your website, your thick client, your iPhone. At the end of the day, these vulnerabilities are software vulnerabilities. So we have traditional, non-coding, infrastructure, network security thinking security people who tend to run the security organizations of most major corporations. In a lot of ways, these are the wrong people to solve the problem. Who here in the room is a developer? You are the people who are going to solve this problem, not traditional security people. It's you who's a developer. And so how have we done as a security community at explaining security to you? How have we done as a security community in providing you with information about building secure code? My opinion is we've done a horrible job as a security community. We've said, developer, here's the problem, here's a vulnerability, here's the amount of damage I can do with it. Well, how do I fix it? Do some input validation. Next. And we got to get better than that. So back in 2007, Jeff Williams came up with the XSS cheat sheet, then came the SQL injection cheat sheet, and then came the forgot password cheat sheet. We have all of these relatively concise guides. In about 10 minutes, we can get developers 80% of the way there to write more secure code. That's the mission of the cheat sheet series, to provide concise, no BS, minimal theory, pragmatic information to the developer to write secure code. And so, real quick, yep, that's me. My name is Jim Manico. This is Sharif. Sharif, has been helping big time keep taking the cheat sheet series to the next level. We're approaching turning it into a book. And why? Let's get some Sharif in here for a while. Go for it.
All right, so 6 years ago, I was working for an outsourcing company, a small boutique shop called Macadamian Technology. So bigger software companies would come to us saying, all right, can you do this software for us? You're a regular outsourcing software shop. So I was hired 6 months into the job. I went to my boss saying, I want to be promoted. He looked at me and said, all right, where are you right now? I said, a software developer. So he said, all right, the next level is a project lead. In order for you to be a project lead, you got to do this, and that. I said, all right, consider them done. Young and enthusiastic, I want to get ahead. So I said, all right, consider them done. What else? He said, well, you got to get involved in the community. I said, what the hell does that mean? He said, well, go attend user groups, contribute to open source projects, things like that. I said, yeah, okay, all right, okay, cool. What community do you think I should join? He said, how about OWASP? I said, oh, what? He said, OWASP. I said, all right. So sure enough, I went home, checked them out. That was back in 2005, 2006. I checked them out. I found good community, chapters, click on the chapters, Ottawa, I'm from Ottawa, Canada, Ottawa, all right, mailing list, what's going on, nothing has been happening for the past 6-9 months, so I sent out an email to the mailing list saying, all right, is anything going on? So 5 minutes later, I got an email from Jeff Williams, the chair of Wasp back then, nothing is going on, can you start one? Cool, all right. It's getting harder and harder, sure. I started the chapter. I organized the meetings. A year afterwards, I realized that I'm attending security meetings. I'm even organizing these security meetings. As a software developer, I'm writing the same exact code that I've been writing a year back. It wasn't because of the lack of the information, it wasn't because of the lack of the meetings, it wasn't because of the lack of expertise out there. It was because I was not given chunk size piece of software that I can take home on a daily basis and apply to my patch and get my patch checked in securely better than the patch I checked in yesterday. And this is why I would think that cheat sheet series are really awesome. Yep. We think that the cheat sheets are really awesome because back then I had deadlines. I wanted to check in code. That was my main priority. My main priority was not security. So given this little bit of chunk size security that I can take and apply right away, made the cheat sheets pretty spectacular here. So what are the cheat sheets? The cheat sheets are a series of documents, small, concise, to the point, with actionable advice that a developer can take and apply right away.
Developers one more time? Yeah, developers. So developers, what if I go to you and suppose, let's pretend I'm a security professional for a second. Suppose I show up and say, hey developers, I want you to write more secure code, so here's this 300-page manual I want you to read. Here's a copy, I print you out a copy, 300 pages, go. What are you going to do with that 300-page document?
Put it on the shelf.
At best. At best.
So, like the entries right now to writing secure code is either go to a training, I don't know, buy a tool, 300-page document, and again, the main target for a software developer is deadlines, not writing secure code.
Or G&P, right? G&P, right. Google and pray that you find the right information. So.
The beauty about this is that most of the cheat sheets can be read and applied in less than 10 minutes. And why 10 minutes, not 7 or 8? Probably a couple of you guys have wondered. It's just the average amount of time it will take an average developer to read and actually start applying the information in these cheat sheets. What's the goal here? I'm just reiterating what Jim's saying. The goal here is to lower the barrier for software developers to start writing secure code. It's not about getting software developers to be security experts. Neither they do need to be. They just need to start writing secure code. And you guys heard about the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of effort will lead to 80% of the result. That's exactly the implementation of this rule in the world of software security. With little effort that a software developer can put in just reading a cheat sheet. Software developers are smart. Software developers want to do the right thing. It's just not their number one priority. That's simple. So with only little investment from their time, 10 minutes can get easier than that, right? They can get way ahead in securing their code. However, we need to come clean though, but not the way you're thinking. We need to come clean in the sense of we're not negating the fact that a full-blown software security training is not good. We're not saying that. We're saying trainings are good, using tools are good, software security assurance programs are good. All of this stuff is good, but what we're trying to say is let's make it easy. Let's make it really, really simple for a software developer to start writing secure code.
Painless.
Exactly, thank you. The beauty about this, the cheat sheets, is that it really hit a chord with software developers. In the sense of, it all started with the cross-site scripting prevention cheat sheet that was written by Jeff Williams, I think, and a couple of eSAPI guys. You?
That's me.
Oh, okay.
I fixed all his bugs.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course.
Hi, Jeff.
And like cross-site scripting, for you guys who really got into the deep guts of cross-site script, it's really a widespread topic that involves a lot of things, a lot of corner cases, a lot of situation, context, simple validation, encoding, blah, 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 a lot of stuff, right? To put that in like 2-page, 3-page document and make it really, really good example is really a hard thing. So we got some stats for you guys here to show how much visibility and how much this is being adopted by the community. So for example, the first one that was written in prevention cheat sheet is 375K views, 375,000 views. All the way to like these ones are like a couple of weeks, just a couple of weeks back they were in, and they already gotten a bunch of 1,000 views. So this is how much the community and the developers found this helpful, found this really hit a chord with them. However, while I was preparing this this presentation, I asked myself, well, the views doesn't really mean a lot. Yeah, people are checking them out, cool. But how are they actually using them? Are they actually using them or just view them? So I sent to a couple mailing lists asking around, how are you guys using the cheat sheets? And I was really pleased. Alan Worrell, for example, we used them because they were really easy to understand, got to the point of the matter without the need for each developer to become expert in the security. That's exactly the goal, right? Own, carry, 2 words, pragmatic, focused. And here's the best. Josh, what I like most about these documents is that it allows me to get other departments, such as project managers and network administrators, to help build secure coding requirements into the SDLC without them having to understand the technical details of the document. Do you understand, like, do you see the power of this? Is that you give somebody else a document, plug it in the software development life cycle, and voila, the effect on the whole organization and the whole organization's security posture got better. Over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Sharif. Let me clip in here. There we go. All right, let's do some cheating here. First of all, let me give you my thesis. First of all, why am I here? This is a relatively soft talk. I'll go through some of the cheat sheets and talk about some technical information. This is a general talk to try to help you to have a bit of information to spread the word to other developers. Look, this is all free. It's all open source, Creative Commons. Use it, steal it, whatever you need to do. My goal is twofold. I'm looking for dissemination of these cheat sheets because I want developers to write more secure code. That puts me out of business. That's good. My goal is to be put out of business. Thank you very much. So number 1, spread the word. Number 2, help. If you have an area of expertise in security, and no matter how small or specific it is, it's going to help. So let me just go back for 1 sec. This is the level of modularity we're doing in the cheat sheet series. One on cross-site scripting, one on input validation, one on HTML5. These are some of these are big topics, but a 3 or 4 page guide in HTML5 is better than 10 pages of HTML5 mixed in a 300-page document. So it's, again, they're popping on Google very well when people are looking for these topics. And again, I think it's a way to have dramatic, big impact in your organization without having to go through professional training services, without having to trick your developers into writing secure code. Brief, concise, to the point. Let's take a peek at some of them. First of all, this is the main URL for the series. This is our main nav page. I really we could use some help. Again, this is going to benefit everyone. If you decide to write a cheat sheet or edit a cheat sheet, that gives you some visibility. It helps the developer community. It helps your business. It helps everyone. So it's the classic win-win situation.
And the thing is, you're not going to be stuck writing the
think that you are, you know, about one subject, you can start writing, and we're going to help you out. We're going to review, edit, get other people to help out. So
Yes. One of the most important parts about the cheat sheet series is when we see developer guides getting written, how many people tend to write those guides? 1 or 2 people. So the expertise, I don't care who tells you they're the uber expert at web security, this topic is so broad and so mammoth, I don't know anyone out there who really gets it all. I just don't. And if you do, power to you. So the power of the series is, I know 3 people who are uber experts at HTML5, so I'm corralling them to write that cheat sheet. I know one guy who's been really focusing on CSRF, who's a good writer and an expert. I get that guy to write that cheat sheet. So we have 30 or more people participating in these series. When we're trying to write a big book on developer security, it's hard. People are like, whoa, that's kind of intimidating. But if you say, hey man, can you write me a 2 or 3 page guide on iPhone mobile security? That's a cheat. Bang, it's easy to get people to jump in. So again, the big benefit is it's not just one person, it's a huge community of experts building the series. Let's take a look at some of these now. Let me switch into clone mode. That's all right. Come on, Windows. Gotta move it. Sorry, I'm not used to using inferior operating system.
That's what happened when guys use Mac.
Who was here for the XSS talk? And which operating system did I give a hard time to? Mac. Yeah, exactly. So I beat on all of them. Don't worry. You can't read this at all, can you? I can't even read it. We need to zoom out or something. Let me zoom 1 sec. How come your pinch zoom is? Oh, your PC. Okay.
There we go. Oh, there we go.
All right, let me double finger scroll down. It's not working. All right. All right, let's take a peek at the very first cheat sheet in the series. First of all, we're looking at this page has been accessed 376,338 times. This was pushed out first in about 2007. Hey, I'm going to break the main rule of presentation. I'm going to turn my back to you. Whoa. All right, actually, here we go. I got 1 sec to collect myself. Pardon me. There we go. I'm gonna try. I don't know how to do this. I'm just gonna go for it here. All right, what do we got here? All right, I'm on this. Oh, this is just a clone of it. Oh, give me a break. All right. I'm trying to operate a Windows machine. That's the problem. Okay. There we go. Thank you. Hey, it works. I'll take it. Oh, page up. There we go. So, this is the first cheat sheet in the series. This is the XSS cheat sheet series. And I think it's not the example of the best cheat sheet because it's really comprehensive. This is our first time out the gate. Jeff Williams is the original author. I'm the main editor and spent a lot of time cleaning up some of the edge cases. I give Jeff a hard time, but he started it. He got the ball out the gate, got the ball rolling. I went and fixed a lot of little problems, so I'm not trying to give Jeff a hard time. Jeff should be celebrated for getting this ball rolling. This whole project has blossomed into something really big and really good, I think. So he starts by talking about different parts of injection theory, which we're going to strip out soon. How many developers care about deep injection theory? Raise your hand. Yeah, exactly. We want to get to how do we fix this problem. It's these core 6 prevention rules that are the gold of this cheat sheet. And he's the first one out the gate. Yeah, theory, and more theory. Delete that theory soon. And then we get down to the individual rules, and that's about the totality of it. For the main context, this right here, this rule 1, never insert untrusted data except in allowed locations. This is a great start. There are many locations in an HTML document that no matter what defensive mechanism you do, it's going to fail to protect you from XSS. That's putting data in a script context. Just if you take untrusted data and put it between 2 script tags, I don't care what kind of validation you do, that's always a bad design. It's a code execution context, something to always avoid. There's always ways around it. So rule number 1, this is the gold here. Rule number 1 talks about doing HTML output encoding in a body context of an HTML document. There's an example of how to do the encoding. Let's move on. Rule number 2 talks about attribute encoding. Rule number 3 talks about JavaScript encoding. It gives you all the specific context. This is something you can give to a developer. If you kill the top part where the theory is and just go through the 6 rules, that's a great piece to rip out and give to developers. It's about 2.5 pages total, and we can move on. That's the 80% rule right there. It even talks about HTML validation. It even talks about the edge cases around cascading style sheet workflow. Bang, good to go. So that's our first cheat sheet. Again, this is a bit of a soft talk. I'm not going to go too deep into all this, but I want to give you an exposure to a couple of the main cheat sheets. Okay, I see. This is a bit of a little click. There we go. Okay, at least the PC's click. I'll take it. What do we got here, Sharif? We have, this is one of my favorite ones, cryptographic storage cheat sheet. The problem with doing cryptographic storage is, let me just ask you, what's the most difficult part of cryptographic storage as a developer in general? This is bonus point question, the bonus round, the new car, and a set of guns. We're in Texas. So what is the most difficult part of cryptographic storage? Who said that? Key management. High five. That's the major problem. Are we going to be able to solve key management in a cheat sheet? Not so much. But again, this is such a mammoth topic, I would even dare say that cryptographic storage is one of the most difficult security requirements for a developer. So I got Kevin Keenan, who wrote the cryptographic storage book for Semantic Press called Cryptography in the Database by Semantic Press. His name is Kevin Keenan. He wrote a Java book, very concise book, that actually implemented an entire asymmetric cryptographic storage system with real production quality code. He wrote a lot of these systems for Symantec. Just brilliant. And I wrote him, I'm a fanboy of your book. Will you write me a cheat sheet? After a couple iterations, he began to write this. Again, key rules. Only store sensitive data that you need. Only use strong cryptographic algorithms. Store the hashed and salted value of passwords. Excellent. Keep away from any other storage mechanism for password. Ensure that any secret key is protected from unauthorized access. Then it describes all the key requirements of a key lifecycle. Where to store unencrypted. Don't store unencrypted keys with your ciphertext. Yeah, that's a good idea. You'd be surprised how many times I've seen a crypto system using the proper algorithm, using HMACing to stop these Oracle padding attacks. Perfect, great. And then the key is right there in the database in plain text in a column right next to the ciphertext. Guess what that's called? That's called plain text. So really, the main focus of this cheat sheet is talking about the different rules for key management. Build a rule for changing keys periodically. Document concrete procedures to handle a compromise. Read key data asynchronously every 3 years. This is the way to go. So again, this was written by, who was involved in this one? Oh, there's a page down. There we go. Forgive me for So the main authors here are Kevin Keenan, David Rook, who's implemented major crypto systems for his company, Kevin Wall, who's the main crypto implementer for Quest Communications, and Fred Donovan, who helped us edit a great deal, fixed a lot of small problems. The other guy, I don't know who he is. Let's move on. Oh yeah, I'm up here. So this is another cheat sheet. Give me that. Now, as we get into this cheat sheet, my opinion is this cheat sheet is more in line with what we're doing for the series now moving forward. This is a lot more concise. It's a very specific area of knowledge. It's how to implement a forget password feature in a secure fashion. So what are we doing mostly today as a developer when we're tasked to implement forget password? Who? Send an email and include the what? Yeah, they'll either say temp password, send me a link, what else? Or just send the password over email. So what if someone's sending you a password over email? What does that mean in terms of how that password's being stored? It means it's being stored in plain text. And what do you think of storing passwords in plain text? Survey says? It's a really bad idea. We saw major compromise in Sony, major compromise in Gawker. Who cares if Gawker gets compromised? Why that matters is because now hundreds of thousands of username password combinations have been compromised that were then very effective in Bank of America and Google and so on. So when you lose passwords en masse in your company, it doesn't just affect your company, it affects your users and probably 10, 15 other companies who can also get compromised from that loss, which makes password storage, in my mind, a critical important issue today because attackers are targeting that specific part of your systems directly en masse right now. So, let me rewind, forget password. So we agree that emailing a password is always a bad idea. How secure, if you're in an intranet environment, how secure is email? Let me rewind. If you're in an internet environment, a consumer-facing service, how secure is email? It is not secure in any fashion. How much cryptography in transit do you get when using email overall? None is, unless you're doing PGP email or S-MIME, it's completely wide open to everyone between point to point. And yet, we're sending and here's what most people do in terms of the forgot password feature. They send a link over email. A completely insecure transport medium, and if someone can capture that link, they click it, they can reset your password. This might not be an issue that leads to complete organizational compromise, but it's going to compromise individual users. So let me actually go through this one in a bit more detail. This is a kind of an interesting one. And how do we get to this? We got to this cheat sheet because David Ferguson at Fishnet Security published a white paper discussing forgot password in the high-end banking world, the place where they usually get it pretty right. And so I emailed him, hey Dave, you were the first people to write about forget password in a correct way. You want to do a cheat sheet? Well, sure, Jim, I'll do a cheat sheet. Whip, get to work. So, and this is good because look how long it is. There's one page. There's 2 pages. It's like 2.5 pages. This is really hitting the 10-minute mission is successful here. So let's walk through it. So we're recommending 4 steps for forget password. Is this an interesting topic, how to do forget password a little bit differently? I get enough head shakes. I'll take up and down the good ones. All right, so we're recommending a 4-step process that you see in the banking industry a lot today for forget password. First of all, sending passwords, sending links over email is a complete fail. We need something better. So step 1 is to ask as many identity questions as possible that's reasonable for your system. Ask for an email address, maybe ask for their phone number, maybe ask for their account number or their credit card number, maybe ask for their date of birth. The more identity questions, the better. And so banks I see are asking 2 or 3. The more the better. So ask some identity questions up front. And that starts a session in the browser for that particular user. You must stay in that session through this workflow for this to work. So identity question, step 1. Security question, step 2. And frankly, when you're designing security questions, it's really easy to get it wrong. Things like, what's your pet's first name? What's your dog's first name? There's only about 5 or 6 dog names in common use. Fido, Fluffy, well, that's a cat name, but whatever. I'm not a dog owner myself. I don't know what your dog names are, but the name is a really small subset. It's easy to compromise those kind of questions. So we recommend, for step 2, we recommend you use a great domain if you haven't seen it yet called goodsecurityquestions.com. I didn't put it up here, but I'm going to recommend goodsecurityquestions.com. It's not a perfect site, but they've done a lot of research in picking good security questions. I'm a big fan of that research. So again, let's review. Identity questions up front, number 1. Security question, step 2. And then email the user a security token. Now we're using email, an insecure transport. But again, we're kind of like simulating multi-factor authentication here. If someone can compromise the token, unless they can answer all the identity questions and the security question, that token's no good. So we email the user or text the user a security token. They then put it in the session, and then they're allowed to answer. Then they're allowed to reset their password. This is a couple extra steps than just a quick link, but it is a much more robust and high secure way to build forget password. I'm going to highly recommend you institute this methodology. The era of sending critical data that's useful in and of itself over email is dead. And this is not just us coming up with this. This is what you see mostly in the banking industry today. So this, again, this story, this is in my mind the perfect kind of cheat sheet. 10 minutes, we're in. Quick, I hope, does this story of forget password make sense? Think that's a good way to build that feature? How long did it take to figure that? How long did it take for us to have that conversation? Minutes? Do you feel empowered to go and build a better forgot password feature now? That's the goal here. That's the goal of this series. 10 minutes in and out, we've made a positive impact in some way. And there's no money exchange. It's free, it's open, it's the OWASP way. That's what it's all about. So let's look at one more cheat sheet. How are we doing on time? Oh, good. We're doing good on time. And now the mouse is not working. Okay, here we go. Oh, we're up here. That's why. I'm sorry. This is one of the brand new cheat sheets. Now, I'm really excited about this because we just pushed this out. When did we push this out? Oh, page down. Okay. I've been a Mac guy. I'm all used to these like simple keystrokes. Using a PC is like Stone Age. I'm sorry. It's like, whoa. All right, is that too much? Too much piece? A little bit too much. All right, I'm sorry about that. Enough, Jim. So check this out. Let's look at the different people who are jumping into this topic here. We got Roxbury, who led the charge. We got Christoph, who's a fairly world-renowned HTML5 security expert. We have Sriraj Shah, who's just been giving several of these presentations on HTML5 security on the circuit. So I basically contacted all these people giving HTML5 presentations and tried to socially engineer them into helping. So email one, I hope they're listening, I mean no disrespect. Email one was, wow, you're an amazing expert in HTML5. I'm just incredibly amazed by your presentation. Email back, well, thank you, Jim, I appreciate that. Second, I have some ideas of how we can help the community with this. Are you interested? And give you some good visibility. Oh, I'm interested. And step 3 was, we're already working on this cheat sheet. Go in and help edit and make it better. So everyone, and these guys know what I'm doing. They all dove in and helped without any hassle. And these are guys who are really sought after right now. Their time is very precious. And they all jumped in and wrote what I think is an awesome cheat sheet because it's so new, it's fresh, it's relevant, and we've gotten like 5,000 hits on this in a matter of like days. So this is becoming a real popular guide. I'm not a deep expert at this stuff, but I'll go through a few of these bullet points here. So we're looking at some really new things. Cross-origin resource sharing, local storage. You realize now that all your browsers have a local database built into it in the HTML5 world where cross-site scripting, other attacks can be embedded in and hidden, and it can be used to track users even when they delete their cookies. So more functionality, bigger attack surface, more work for security professionals. I know. So web workers, what's a web worker? This is insane. Here's a chunk of code that will drive a background process within your browser that will work independent of page refreshes. That's great to set up a keylogger. That's great to set up a network port scanner. So these features are the attacker's dream. And they're going through each of these different features and talking about the different defenses needed to use these technologies in a correct fashion. If utilized, web database content on client side can be vulnerable. SQL injection needs to have proper validation and parameterization. Underlying storage mechanism may vary from user agent to the next. It's recommended not to store any sensitive information in local storage. Now that's a key piece of advice. Never put sensitive data into a browser local storage. I highly agree with this. And not a lot of people take this advice. Your local database, in my mind, should be an extension of your view. You want to keep it as simple as possible, use it as little as possible. I see a lot of folks pushing proprietary business logic, critical sensitive data that's going to last for a very long time into local storage, into the client. We want to really minimize that. So I see the local SQL database in HTML5 as just a highly dynamic extension of your view and really minimize packing it with highly sensitive data that will stick around for a long period of time. Also, of course, all of these local HTML5 databases are completely encrypted and secured by default, right? Yeah, you just looked at me like I was a three-headed alien. I was joking. These are completely wide open, plain text, easy to compromise databases. Just like the autocomplete cache, forgot password, the remember my password cache, all of this stuff is just plain text in your browser. And so the HTML5 local database is an extension of that. All right, let me move along, do one more here. Okay, all right. Not going to learn. See, I'm a brute force here. So the story of this one, this is the web service security cheat sheet. So who's the lead guy in the world on web security? It's Gunnar Peterson. He's one of the top world-renowned web service security experts out there. He's on the circuit quite a bit, very, very sharp individual. And I asked him, hey, Gunnar, you want to give us a cheat sheet? And he pointed us to one of his blog posts that had some of this information. He let us grab it and copy it, put his name on it. Then we had several other folks jump in, Sharif, and who else joined the cause here?
Everybody just gave us feedback. Owen gave us some feedback. Dave Wickers gave us some feedback, a lot of feedback actually. Gunnar jumped in and replied, and it was all like sort of collaborative effort. And during the whole, I was the one who fleshed it out, but I was the one who benefited the most because all of these experts are jumping in and critiquing my work, and I'm the only one who's benefited from it, researching, checking out information and whatnot, and came up with this institute, which was very good.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with this. This came along relatively fast. It's also seeing thousands of hits in a matter of a couple weeks, so we have good activity on it. But this is not not a perfect cheat sheet, but it's a really good one because I can give this to a developer. It's going to put a lot more work on his plate, unfortunately. It's not highly prescriptive. It's more design-centric. It's a step back because web service security is a mammoth, giant, complex topic. So this cheat sheet is not like, forget password, real prescriptive. Web service security, it's more of a step back, more of a design take. Say, look, if you're going to build a web service, you better keep these 12 things in mind in some way. And you know you're doing something right when a lot of experts show up and start criticizing what you're doing. So as we push this out, a lot of people jumped down our throats, actually. Oh my God, this is too much design.
Things change. Is this cheat sheet program going to have some sort of a wiki option where people can contribute, or is that leaving the time?
First of all, that's a great question. Number one, everything we're looking at is already wiki format. It's already on the OWASP wiki. And here's the greatest way to abuse OWASP. And I see a lot of folks do this and it upsets me. Come up with like a project that's early alpha, dump it onto OWASP, put your name on it, go on the talk circuit and talk about how you're a great OWASP volunteer, put it on your company, I'm an OWASP volunteer, I do all this work, and then never touch your project ever again. I see people do that, and I think that's shameful. That's a great way to abuse OWASP. Because as we all know, this stuff changes, and the real work in any project is not the initial dump. The real work is maintenance and keeping it fresh over time. So this stuff is wiki. Part of our job as being project managers of this is to make sure it never gets stale. So I go back and I edit this stuff all the time. I proofread, I read them over and over again when I have free time. I correct spelling errors. I made a lot of edits of the XSS cheat sheet, fixing a lot of little problems. And so part of our role is, and we're committed to keeping this stuff up to date on a regular basis. It's easy to start a cheat sheet. It's hard work to maintain it and keep it up to date over time. And we are committed to do that in this project.
And here's the help we want. So one way you can help is, of course, you're exactly the goal, but if you want to go one further, one
start your own cheat sheet. You don't have the time or expertise for it. Just tell us if you're using the cheat sheet in an innovative way or something like that. Tell us how you're using it. This will influence the way we're developing and the format we're developing these cheat sheets with. So Jen is more like into the technical and actually developing more and more cheat sheets. I'm more into trying to position these cheat sheets to be used to be as simple as possible and kind of like a no-brainer. So this is another way you can help out with the cheat sheets.
Yeah, some of the struggles we're having now is we want to go back to the original 3 cheat sheets: SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and cross-site request forgery. These are heavy-duty and academic right now, and we want to strip them down. And the original authors are not happy with that desire. So we have some political issues to battle to get this to work. What I'm trying to do is I'm probably going to take these 3 current cheat sheets and turn them into guides, or just rename them and put them elsewhere, and then trim them down to make them more concise for the cheat series. That's what I'm trying to do. It's difficult, there's political issues to do it, but it's what needs to be done. It's not for me, it's not for the author, it's for the community, which is who we're trying to impact. So here's the status of the cheat sheet series today. We're currently working on 2 guides. We're working on the PHP security cheat sheet with Andrew Vanderstock. I'm trying to get the password storage cheat sheet, that's something that I'm working on. And here's the production series: authentication, cross-site request forgery, TLS, transport security. The TLS cheat sheet is turning into a standard, actually. There are so many people who are now all of a sudden trying to audit SSL. Just in the last 18 months, all of these major vulnerabilities against transport security has come up all over the place. So people are struggling to find a resource around how to configure their server correctly for SSL. And so Michael Coates from Mozilla, Ivan Ristic from Qualys, and a few other heavy-duty thinkers in SSL configuration and SSL excellence wrote this cheat sheet, and it's such a good job that it's turning into a standard. I'm not going to touch that one. A few of the other big ones I am going to have to trim down. Excuse me. So we also have cryptographic storage cheat sheet, input validation cheat sheet, cross-site scripting, DOM-based XSS prevention. This is probably the most complicated of all of them. DOM-based XSS is just a really difficult issue. And building a secure JavaScript-rich internet application client, it's a real difficult issue. So we had about 10 different people participate on that cheat sheet to get all the little nooks and crannies dealt with. It might need to be trimmed down a bit, but it's such a complex topic. It really needs that kind of complexity even to get to 80%. Forget password cheat sheet, Dave Ferguson. SQL injection cheat sheet from Dave Rickers. Session management cheat sheet from Raul Siles. He changed my mind about this topic. Raul Siles jumped in and just slammed this huge session management cheat sheet on us that just blew my mind. It was so well done. I thought I knew everything about this topic, and 4 or 5 points he brought up that really changed my mind about what needs to be done. I highly recommend it. It's just really well thought out. It's an interesting read, and he knows what the heck he's talking about. HTML5, we have 5 people working on that. The web security service cheat sheet, this is version 1. 4 or 5 of us worked on that. And it's just a start. We're going to have a SOAP cheat sheet. We're going to have a REST cheat sheet. We're hoping to have a Java Access cheat sheet eventually. We have people coming up with we don't see it here, but there's a struts and a Spring cheat sheet coming up to be more prescriptive as well. Then we have the application security architecture cheat sheet. This is one of the first ones as well. And that's the basic series. And again, our goal here is to spread the word, pass these out. They're free resources. We think they're good resources. They're up-to-date resources. We're constantly editing them and keeping them fresh. And 2, we'd like your help. If you want to review and you see a problem, let us know. Because you're going to find problems that we didn't find. You see a typo, fix it. Whatever little help you can add, it will ripple to the whole community. And the last note is, when this cheat sheet reaches critical mass, it's starting to get there, we're going to start publishing books on a yearly basis. We're going to take all this and put it into a book and push it out as hopefully a concise developer guide. One of the reasons I'm putting so much effort into this now is because the developer guide is kind of faltered. We're not going to see a developer guide come out for some time. There's been a changing of the guard there a lot. But again, they're trying to boil the ocean and do one mammoth guide. We're trying to do a bunch of small, concise modules, one at a time. And it's so far, just a lot of people are participating. We have a lot of hits, a lot of good feedback, and we'd like to see more help. We need more help.
Who here is using Stack Overflow? Awesome. So Stack Overflow, the power of Stack Overflow is that it's one place you go, and to some extent, you trust the information that's there. Yeah, because software developers are busy, and they want the answer, go back to their code, and customize it. So what we're trying to do is something very similar. Get as much eyes on a security topic. It's very customizable,
Right.
device or whatever we're going to put here is very customized because we want to put the developer on the right path to get the advice, and we have the trust in software developers that they're going to take that advice and run with it, and they're going to do their thing, but just the start and lowering the barriers.
And so this is not a highly technical talk. I try to give you a few nuggets with the forget password stuff. I know this is kind of a soft talk, but I still think it's incredibly important that we as a community enable developers in a concise, practical way to write more secure code. I don't think that many of us in the industry are doing this well, and my hope that this series is going to scratch that really necessary itch and empower developers without abusing their time. That's where we're at. Any questions? I hope this was a good use of your 50 minutes. Thank you very much, and take care, everyone. Thanks for attending.